Business structures, going deeper. Today, I want to spend a little time and go deeper on business structures, mainly choice of entity, but also how you might structure your parent and subsidiary relationships and multiple entities involved. So, as those of you that follow the channel regularly know, we often cover things in shorts, and then we go longer in a program like this to where we dig into some of the details because we can't cover everything in shorts. I'm Shawn McBride. I'm a practicing business lawyer. I work with clients to help achieve their dreams and goals around their businesses, largely helping them with equity, contracts, operational issues. Today I want to talk about structuring, starting with choice of entity, but then also thinking about how multiple entities might play together. Now, part of this is going to be governed by state law and state taxation law. State law is going to help determine the field of play and what's available. Now, as we've talked about here on the channel, a basic bedrock issue is you're governed by the internal affairs doctrine of the state where your entity is generally incorporated or formed. Now, there's a few exceptions to that, but in general, if you pick a Delaware entity, you're going to be governed by Delaware law. Maryland entity, Maryland, Texas, etc. Right? So where you form your company is going to govern those internal affairs. And that's going to determine some things, such as the availability of, say, a series LLC, which is only available in certain states. And if you're crossing state lines, that may be an issue. So that becomes a structuring issue. Also, taxation comes into play. Some states tax different entities different ways, and so we may be picking certain entities for certain states just based on state taxation and making sure that we pick the optimal structures that interface with the various states that we might be operating with. So we want to make sure that we are fine-tuning all of that. The other question we get a lot about is parents and subsidiaries and multiple operating entities. And at some level, it makes sense to separate your operations from your holding of certain assets, like maybe real estate or equipment or other things. And so we will see people bring that into play. And that not only brings in the state of formation and the taxation issues, but it brings into how do you divide the assets, and will a court look at all those separate entities and treat them truly as being separate entities, or will they attempt to consolidate them? And so we're going to look at that early in the process, and we're going to be thinking about how do we lay out the structure, how do we not get into a massive headache with state taxation, how do we do something that's optimized in light of the state or states where we're operating, and then how do we put together a structure which is going to potentially protect assets, and then if we want to get real asset protection for the owners in the form of anonymity and keeping their names off of public records, that is yet another layer which might come into play as part of the planning process. And we bring all these things together and mix them together in a nice little soup, and we find the answers that we need. So that's how we throw all the pieces together and build, right? So it's really looking at all these pieces and really analyzing with the client. So I'm hoping you have a business lawyer you're working with, because you guys can sit down and talk about this. Where are we going to be operating with? What budget do we have? What are we doing as far as to manage our taxes? And what type of asset protection do we want, both at the entity level, but then also at the owner level? And when you bring all of that together, you start to get an answer as far as how you want to structure things. If you have questions or comments that are general in nature, you can drop them below. Don't put anything confidential in the comments. Other people might see them. So I always tell people, don't put anything there that you don't want other people seeing that would impact your business, because obviously other people can see them and you'll lose that confidentiality. But if you have general questions, suggestions for videos, I love it. Sometimes we get our ideas from videos from those suggestions. So I do welcome you to drop those below. Hope you check out our channel. Go subscribe if it's helpful to you. And I'll look forward to reading those comments and suggestions.